Sometimes life is messy. Have you ever wished you could refocus your mind, home, relationships, and work life? Join us as we use research-based information to make practical changes and simplify life. This is Life Simplified.
Welcome to Life Simplified, and welcome to July. It's a new month, ladies. This month, we're switching gears. I know last month we were all things vacation, and I hope that you joined us. And if you didn't, go back. I encourage you to listen to all of those for all things vacation ideas for the summer. But this month, I was trying to come up with a topic, ladies, and I came across a day that I didn't even know was a thing. And so apparently July 11th, which is a week from the day that we're posting this episode, and it is National Cheer Up the Lonely Day. And that's not something I'd really ever heard about before. How about you? Have y'all ever heard National Cheer Up the Lonely Day? So I got to thinking, what can we do? What can we talk about that may be helpful? Because it kind of makes me sad to think about, someone lonely. I know that loneliness is a problem, especially as we become more involved in tech and working from home and doing things where we're not around other folks. So I got to thinking, and random acts of kindness. That seems like a way that we can make an impact on others each and every day, whether we know if someone's lonely or not. I think it's always helpful to cheer someone up. So first of all, let's figure out what random acts of kindness are. So kindness is the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. And I think we would all say, kindness is valued. I value it. How about you all?
For sure.
Yeah. So it's something we all desire, we all encourage, and we all enjoy. So what is a random act of kindness? And so what that is it's an unexpected act of kindness, often done for a stranger. So it may, be someone you don't know at all, or you don't know well, or just kind of in the moment. But simply put, a random act of kindness is just about anything you do purely for someone else's benefit. So it's when we're, doing something for someone, not because we want recognition or we want a pat on the back or there's something for us to gain out of it, but simply because we want to brighten someone's day or be helpful. Just being kind for kindness' sake. And so I really love the idea of random acts of kindness. And so I'm gonna turn it over to you ladies for a second. Has anyone shown you kindness recently? And it could be a random act of kindness from a stranger, or it could be a kindness from someone that you know and work with or interact with on a regular basis.
Well, actually, yesterday, my youngest showed me some kindness. I was feeling really overwhelmed and just had a lot on my mind. And so I kind of had my head down and I was taking deep breaths and trying to calm my body because I just was like, I don't know what I need to do and where I need to start. And she came in the room and she looked at me and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay. I feel a little overwhelmed, so I'm trying to take some deep breaths." And she came over and she put her little arm around me and just put her head on me. And she was like, "Can I help you?"
Oh, that's sweet.
It was really sweet. And it did help. And she said, "Do you want to come lay in the living room? You can lay in here with me and watch TV." And I was like, "Thanks. I'm just going to sit here for a minute." It was sweet.
So my best friend just came and visited for the weekend, and that's, it's always great when you have friends come around, and she is always doing random acts of kindness for us, but mostly my son, because of course she's his aunt. So you know how if you have aunt or nieces or nephews or something, like, you're all about them. She realized my husband's been real busy. It's farm season, and then he has a demanding job as well, and I had been taking care of him kind of solo for a few days, and she was like, "Why don't you just let me take him?" And I was like, "Thank you." She noticed it to take that time to say, "Hey, I think you need a little break." And so it was, it was kind of random, not because it was unexpected. She didn't have to do that, but she gave him his bath and she put him to bed, and I just sat in silence, and that was very much appreciated. So if you're listening, thank you for doing that for me.
That's awesome. That's a really great example of it. So I was thinking about this, and this wasn't recent, but it was something that was like so impactful that I think it's worth sharing. And so a couple years ago, not even a couple years, like a year and a half ago, we had a pretty bad tornado in our area. And so there was a lot of random acts of kindness that took place during that time. And our family farm was hit directly. Thankfully, all people were safe, and all the houses minus one were safe. And even the people in that house that did get damaged were okay. So that was good. But there was a lot to clean up, and there was a lot of stress. It was overwhelming. And just the people that showed up that were, acquaintances and people you knew, but maybe not like you expect your close family and your close friends to show up for you when you're in that. But there are those other people that you know, but you just didn't expect it. And those made some huge impacts. I mean, we had people that came out and volunteered to clean up our farm. We had a whole military unit that came out and helped. They didn't know us at all, but they knew that my brother-in-law was in the reserves, and so they wanted to come out and help. And we had some friends that just showed up with food, like, here, you don't have any electricity, you don't have any water right now, you're dealing with this cleanup. And so I think things like that I didn't expect that. I didn't expect a call, hey, I've got your dinner, I'm bringing it right now. Not, can I bring you dinner? Not, is there a day I could do something? Like, no, I've done it and I'm bringing it, and it is what it is. And I think that is a random act of kindness, because there was no time to say, no, don't do that, you don't have to. It just came. And I think that really cheers you up in a difficult spot. So when someone shows you kindness, does it change your attitude? How do you feel? How's your attitude kind of maybe adjusted, we could say?
So I think the examples that we were talking about, it was kind of a stress reliever for us. So we were just kind of like, but I think also it could be uplifting. It could put you in a better mood. Even if you're not in a bad mood, it's just like there is still goodness in the world. There's still people that care and that are kind, and just making you feel better about life in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we talked about some pretty like specific random acts of kindness, but there are other like very simple, like off the cuff things you can do for people that can really make an impact in their day for those perfect strangers. And like for me, it could be as simple as holding the door open for somebody, letting someone get in line in front of you at the grocery store when you're checking out and you have a whole cart and they have like 2 items in their hand. Like, how simple is that to do? Paying it forward, like when you hear that all the time, people at like coffee shops or fast food restaurants, when they're up at the window and they're like, I'm gonna get the person behind me, and then it can spiral, and they're like the next 20 cars in a row are paying for the person behind them. And so which kind of gets to my next thing, is not only can we do these small things that kind of brighten your day and change your attitude, and because we don't know what kind of mood those people were in. They could have been having the worst day ever. They could have woken up and lost a friend, lost a pet, having some troubles at work. There could be anything going on in their life, and we don't know. And just being kind in a small way can make a huge impact. And then it motivates us to be kind to others. Like when someone's kind to me, it changes my mind, it changes my mood, and then I want to do that for somebody else. And I think that's that example of paying it forward, and it keeps going and going and going and going. And for an hour, everybody in the line is paid for somebody behind them, because it sparks our desire to help others when we've been helped, especially if we're in a bad spot or just feeling a little bit low. It can change our mind about things, because it's easy to get negative, and we know that being negative is contagious, but being positive is contagious too. So have y'all seen that in your life, where maybe like you had a bad day, or your kids had a bad day, or your spouse was having a bad day, or a friend, and you were able to do something different, and you could just kind of see the shift? Like, and it may not be a specific thing, but have y'all been able to kind of witness that a little bit in your lives?
Yeah, and I have always heard that if you're down in the dumps or you're having a bad day, if you will reach out and do something kind for someone else, then that helps your mood.
Yeah, Absolutely. It changes our mind. And there's a reason why, and we'll talk about that too, because there are actually health benefits to random acts of kindness. Did y'all know that? So there are actually benefits to our physical and mental health from being kind. And so that's encouraging. And hopefully those of you that are listening, it'll be like, oh, so I can... And maybe that's making us selfish because we're being kind for a benefit. But still do it. It's good for everyone. It's a win-win.
Right, win-win.
Win-win. So, but first, we know that kindness is contagious. We've kind of talked about that. But kindness is also teachable, which is great because I think we all want to teach our children to be kind. And so I think there are certain personalities that are more naturally kind. It comes like easier to them. They think of these ways to, embrace the idea of random acts of kindness, but we can all be taught to be more kind, and we can teach our children to be kind. And I think that is something we want to do. So I actually have a quote from Dr. Richie Davidson from the University of Wisconsin. And the quote is, "It's kind of like weight training. We found that people can actually build up their compassion muscle and respond to others' suffering with care and a desire to help." So that's funny that I've never thought of them building up your muscle, but you can build up your compassion. You can build up your ability to be kind and to spot kindness in others and to spot when someone needs that. I think that's a big thing too, like a skill when you can see that person looks like maybe they could use something to brighten their day, and just doing it for kindness sake. So let's get to the health facts, because I think this kind of blew me away. There are some things that kindness increases that are good, and there are some things that kindness decreases that we don't want. So it's a win-win there. So kindness increases the love hormone. Has anyone ever heard the term the love hormone before?
Oh, no.
I don't remember that in school.
Right? Tell us more.
So have you ever heard of oxytocin?
Yes.
There you go. Okay. So sometimes oxytocin is called the love hormone. And so what it does is it lowers our blood pressure and improves our overall heart health, but it also increases our self-esteem and optimism. And they call it the love hormone because typically when you first meet someone and you're in that oh, you're so wonderful, this is so great, I haven't seen any of things that are going to drive me crazy yet. You have a lot of this hormone, oxytocin, being released. And so everything's great and wonderful and you're floating in the clouds. The good news is we don't have to be in that lovey-dovey state to have oxytocin. We can just be kind to other people, and we can also benefit from this. So,
well, I also can see it as restoring relationships.
Yes.
Because we've talked about that, whether it's your partner or a friend or a coworker, if you're having rough passages or just an argument, because that, life happens and you do that. This could be something that kind of restores that with relationship with people, or just makes it a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you made that connection, and I think that's perfect. And I think that's probably why we see this same hormone when we're being kind and when we are in a relationship, because it makes us feel good. We like to be on good terms with people. I don't think anybody enjoys having issues with someone else. We want to all kind of be even keel. No one likes to have arguments. So I think that's a perfect connection to make there. So it increases our love hormone, which is great. We all can feel the love. It also, we found that it increases your energy. So I thought that was kind of interesting. There's actually a research study out of UC Berkeley and the Greater Good Science Center by Christine Carter, and she found that about half of the participants in one study reported that they feel stronger and more energetic after helping others. And many also reported feeling calmer and less depressed with increased feelings of self-worth. So we've actually seen through studies that energy is increased with kindness. And I should say this, I wanted to plug this. All of our information for today on kindness comes from randomactsofkindness.org, and they have so many resources there, some really cool things. So I do encourage you to check that out because they have lots of ideas on ways to put random acts of kindness into play and into action. That's where all this information's coming from, just so we're all on the same page. But it increases our love hormone, our energy, our happiness. a 2010 Harvard Business School survey of happiness in 136 countries. Okay, 136 countries, not people, not, countries, found that people who are altruistic, in this case, people who are generous financially, so these are people that were kind with their finances, such as with charitable donations, were happiest overall. So giving back to others, helping others, increases our happiness. I wonder if y'all have any examples of areas of your life that you volunteer, you give back, or you're able to help others that you can you can vouch for this. Like, yes, that increases my happiness being a part of that.
I volunteer at our church and teach a children's church class, and which I love to do anyway, but that has really helped me become more involved, and that has boosted my feelings of happiness.
Yeah, because you're building a relationship with those kids and helping form them and being kind to them. So that's going to increase happiness. And I think any of the things that we volunteer for, this is that's where we're seeing this. That's the whole purpose of giving back and being a part of an organization and helping others. And I think that's what, as extension, I feel like that's what we do every day in our jobs, and we get paid to do it. But I think we also get happiness from it when we go and teach a lesson with a group, and we're able to help them live better. I mean, there's always a boost in my mood after that when I feel like I've had a really successful class and I've really helped someone out, and I've imparted knowledge that I know is going to be life-changing. And so I can feel this and how that study would make sense there. And it's not money, but it's definitely helping someone else in a way.
I will have to say for myself that before I switched as far as my positions as an agent from an assistant, I was part of the startup of our backpack program in the county that I was in. And I mean, I was over it. I took care of it, and it was my baby because I was very proud to be part of that, because it was helping so many kids in our county that was not having food over the weekend and that. And well, recently I've stepped down just because I'm not in the county no more, and I don't feel that I'm doing the program good like I used to. So, but it's in great hands with the ladies that are over it now. But, that to me, it just made me happy knowing that these kids had food over the weekend, and also during COVID too.
Yeah.
So it was just one of them things that they didn't have the access like they did when they was in school and everything. So that was one of my things that I was very proud of. And
yeah, that's an amazing example of kindness, helping out in a huge way that you're impacting those kids' lives.
Yeah, and I wasn't right in the middle of it. So people didn't know that I was behind the scenes person, because I didn't want to be out there at the front. The ladies that took care of it in the school system, they took care of it, but I took care of the finance, finding resources to have the money, and everything. And that to me, I didn't have to be out front and people know that she's over that, so it was one of them things. I'm behind the scenes kind of person. So
yeah. And for our listeners, the backpack program, you can probably figure it out. It's a food program so that kids can take food home with them over the weekend for children that may not have a meal otherwise. And so that's making a huge impact on families, and definitely one of those random acts of kindness that's a mood booster for sure. So another thing that kindness increases, and this was a big one, a shocker to me, is your lifespan. So being kind can actually increase your lifespan. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of factors here. It's not foolproof, but it's certainly not going to hurt. So let's take a look at another quote here. So according to Christine Carter, who's the author of Raising Happiness in Pursuit of Joyful Kids and Happier Parents, people who volunteer tend to experience fewer aches and pains. Got some of those myself now that I'm in the 40 club. Giving help to others protects overall health twice as much as aspirin protects against heart disease. That's huge. People 55 and older who volunteer for 2 or more organizations have an impressive 44% lower likelihood of dying early, and that's after sifting out every other contributing factor, including physical health, exercise, gender, habits like smoking, marital status, and many more. This is a stronger effect than exercising 4 times a week or going to church. That's huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like kind of in awe over that.
Yeah.
So there's really something to treating others with kindness, to caring about your friends and family and neighbors and community and the people out there. I think like this is bigger than just the person you're helping. Like it's huge. And I think one of the things that I would like to say, like make it a movement because it is contagious. So if you're doing it and it grows and grows and grows, like if we were all to say, all right, we're all going to like do some random acts of kindness, I think it would explode. I mean, the way this sounds, like it would just be huge. And we're just getting all these benefits. Some more benefits that I think are kind of just intuitive. Pleasure. Like you feel good when you help someone. Serotonin. So like it releases the oxytocin and it also stimulates the production of serotonin. And that is the feel good chemical in our brain. And it actually heals our wounds, calms us down, and makes us happy. So just being kind is releasing 2 of those like hormones in our body that are so good at making us feel better and just be better. So I think why not? So those are all the things that it increases for us. But then it also takes some of the yuck things in our life and it decreases them. So did you know that kindness can actually decrease your pain? I think that's kind of wild. And it's because of those. So think of those chemicals that it's like increasing for us, those feel good ones. They are a natural brain painkiller. So if you're like boosting all your good endorphins, then it's just intuitive that you're going to feel better. It's going to make your body feel better. And stress. It actually decreases our stress, which I think for all of us in this room, we're like, yes, we need to decrease the stress because if you've not listened to the mental load episode, go back and listen to it because we got some stress and we know you do too. And so this is a way that we can decrease that stress. And actually it says that perpetually kind people have 23% less cortisol, which is our stress hormone. And I think we're all experiencing it on an everyday basis. And not only that, but they age slower than the average population. So, hey, forget those aging serums you're putting on your face at night. Go out and be kind to somebody. And you will age slower because you will feel better and your stress will be reduced.
Well,
so
you think about it. That
Yeah.
I've always heard if you got a frown on your face is going to have that frown all the time. And if you're happy and you're smiling, your face is going to be bright and shiny. So,
absolutely. I mean, who needs a facial? We'll just be kind to everybody and run around.
Facials can be self-care, though.
That's true. I'm not going to say I'm never going to get a facial. Treat yourself. But when you can't, go be kind.
There we go.
Be kind anyways. Just be kind. That's what I tell my kids all the time. Our goal is kindness. Let's just be kind. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Also, kindness decreases our anxiety. And I think especially post-COVID, we have a lot of anxiety. And I think people are more aware of it. And everybody's just, kind of constantly living on the edge. And so kindness can decrease that. So that's just a plus. And not only that, but depression. And our blood pressure. So like all these things that kind of interplay with each other, our stress, our anxiety, our depression, our blood pressure, all of those things that just are not feeling good. Being kind to someone else can make us feel so much better. And it can decrease all of those things that I think we all struggle with every day. And I think, that's why I try and tell my kids, like, if someone's being mean to you, try and be kind. Now, don't be a doormat. I'm not a fan of that. We stick up for ourselves if someone's not being nice. But there's probably a reason that they're being unkind, and we don't always know everyone's story and what's going on with them. And so sometimes just giving a little bit of grace and a lot of kindness can go a long way. So we know that there are all these positives. Why do you think that we're not always kind? When like we've got all these reasons to be kind, what do you think the struggle is?
stress. I think it goes back to stress. And I know that we just talked about it, decreasing it, you know, that helps us to be kind. But I still go back to the hustle and bustle of life, job, family, and finance, you know, just having all them things. And I think that really plays a big key part in that. Personally, when I'm stressed, I sometimes am not the kindest, you know, even though I need to be. Sometimes I take it out on my family or my husband because I'm stressed, and I don't mean to, but I just think that's why we can't be kind sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and you're not alone there. As you were talking about all the things that it decreases, I was like, but I really have a hard time not being short with people whenever I'm stressed or when I'm anxious or if I'm hurting or any of those things. So I definitely think stress, anxiety, all of those make it hard to be kind.
And sometimes I think we get stuck in our area or our lane, maybe I should say. We're in our lane, our everyday, like we go to work, we take care of our families, we do our things, and we're on missions to do this. Like if you're going to the store, I've got to go grab all this on my list. I got to get home. I got to get out. I've got to hurry up. And we don't take those moments to be intentional and to be nice.
Yeah, I agree. And I think sometimes we get our own plates so loaded down with all the things we need to do that we're very self-centered. Like we become very self-focused. Like I notice if I am on running an errand or picking up a child or dropping off a child, then why are you in my way? Why aren't you going faster? Why did you not go through that? Like, quit texting. You know, you've thought these things or said these things in your own car.
Yeah,
I'm sitting here laughing. You're saying that because it's me.
I know, right? Like we're like, I'm mad at the person driving around me, and then like Amanda said, you're at the grocery store and you're like, I just want to get through this checkout line. Could you please just scan that item?
The poor cashier, yeah.
Or you're doing the self checkout and it's like, Buzz, you need a code because you scanned an apple weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, so it's all these things, and so we are so focused on what we need to get done and where we're supposed to be, and that we forget that, you know what, everybody is so loaded down as well. And so we just kind of have to have that wake up call every once in a while. Like we're all experiencing stress and anxiety and all of these things. And so why not help someone else and brighten their day and lessen some of that than pile it in? Because I know we certainly appreciate it when someone steps in and brightens our day when it's been a particularly stressful or anxiety producing day.
Well, I'll tell on myself. Yesterday, I actually started last week. My husband started draining our pool and getting it ready for the summer months for everybody. And so he told us last year if we purchased this pool, he was not having anything to do with it. So bless his heart, he did. He knew that I wanted it up and cleaned and everything. And so, but I was getting so frustrated yesterday because he wouldn't listen to me. But his way was right. My way was not. But I get so frustrated at myself, I sometimes take it out on the people around me. He is only home for a short period of time, and he took that time to put this pool up for me and for the family. And sometimes not seeing that until later that he was giving that kindness to me. You asked that question earlier, who's been kind? And I sat here and I've been thinking about that, but he was, because he could have done other things. He could have went in and rested, before he had to leave back out. But no, he chose to put that pool up because he knew that I wanted it up. So, sometimes we get frustrated with ourselves too of things, but we got to remember to give ourselves grace.
Yes. Be kind to yourself as well. Like we have to kind of cut ourselves some slack. Sometimes we're humans.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So be kind to you as well. And I think so. As we've been discussing, we've had more things come to mind. At first, when you start thinking about kindness, it's kind of like, oh, I don't know. Like, I know what kindness is, but I can't think of examples off the top of my head. But there are actually 6 kindness concepts. And I want to kind of go through these one at a time, because I think you'll see that we can show and exhibit kindness in multiple areas of our life. It's not necessarily just the things that we've discussed here or the things that automatically pop to your head, but being kind is about a lot of things. And so the first kindness concept is respect. And so respect is just treating people, places, and things with kindness. So being respectful of others and of other people's places and their things is being kind. And so I think if we think about it like that, we want to be respected, and in order to be respected, you have to give respect to someone else and show that you're worthy of that. But that is a kindness, being respectful of other people, being respectful of what you say in front of other people, and how you interact with their things, and not, like trashing somebody's house. Or I think about like hotels, like you're going in there, that's not your place. Like, treat it like you would treat your own home, especially now that people are renting out their own homes, like, and all those things. But respect is an aspect of kindness that I don't think we always think, but that is being kind. Being respectful is being kind. Another concept is caring. And so caring is feeling and showing concern for others. And I think we do that a lot. I think we care for other people. And that may be the aspect of kindness that we think about that comes to our mind the most, obviously. But feeling and showing concern for others, caring about their story, caring about their needs, caring about where they're at emotionally, physically, all of those type things. The next one is inclusiveness. And this is one that I think is really big. But inclusiveness is including others, inviting them in, and welcoming them with open arms. So it's not just like, yeah, you can be here, but you're going to be here, and I'm going to make you a part of. I'm going to make you feel part. You're not going to be like, yeah, you can sit there at my dinner table, but you're not really part of the in crowd. And I think this one is huge to me right now as a mother, because sometimes kids aren't great at inclusiveness, and that's a two-way street. Sometimes our kids aren't great at including others, and sometimes our kids aren't being included, and it's a difficult thing either direction, to kind of help your kids wade through that. But then as adults, we do the same thing, and so they're looking to us to show this. And so I think making people feel a part of is huge, because how many of us have ever felt excluded?
For sure.
For sure.
I mean, and we carry those wounds with us. Even if it was like I was excluded in middle school, which, by the way, middle school, that's
Weren't we all?
fun stuff. Exactly. But we like carry that with us. And then when we talk about feeling excluded or socially awkward, I think it's because we carry some of this, like, I was left out, I didn't feel like a part of, with us. And even when we're adults and we've kind of made our way and we have our people, we still feel this from time to time. And so being aware of that and trying really hard to not make other people feel that way is important. And so this is one thing I've really been working with my kids, because they have felt excluded, and it hurts, and it's hard to kind of explain that. But then also I want them to know, like, remember how you feel and make sure you're not doing that to somebody else, because I don't know that we always purposely exclude others, but we can do it unintentionally, and we want to be more aware of that. And like everything we've talked about this year, we want to be intentional, including people. So that is a way to be kind, is inclusiveness. And I think that's really important to discuss. Another one that's huge is integrity. And so integrity is acting in a way to be right and kind in all situations. And so to me, this is like doing the right thing when no one will know. No one's there to see you. No, you could get away with whatever, but you do the right thing anyways, just to do the right thing. And I think integrity is so huge, but it's difficult. It's really difficult. It's difficult to teach. It's difficult to uphold, but it's so valuable. I mean, it really digs deep into the core of who you are. And so having integrity is kindness, and it's a random act of kindness, because no one's ever going to know you did it, because you could have done it the other way, but you decided to do what was right for the sake of doing the right thing. And I think that's big. The fifth concept is responsibility, and that's being reliable to do the things that are expected or required of you. So it's, you do what you say you're going to do. It's when you're a part of a team or a part of a group and you show up and you do what you're supposed to do, you're reliable. They know you're going to be there. They know you're not going to flake out on them and not show up and dump the load on them. And so I think that's big. And that's really huge like with what we all do every day. We work in teams every single day, and we all know how frustrating it can be if someone doesn't pull their weight. They don't do what they said they're going to do, because then someone has to pick up that slack because it has to get done. And we have all dropped the ball. So this is not perfection. We are going to mess up. Every one of us drops the ball, and that's okay. But that's stepping up and saying, hey, I dropped the ball. I recognize I did. I'm so sorry. And how can I help do something else? How can I pick up the slack in another direction?
Are you talking about me?
No, I'm talking about me.
Because I feel like you're preaching to me right now.
No, girl, I am preaching to myself. Because definitely, I mean, it happens. And we know that we are, like I said, we're wearing all the different hats and we're doing all the things. And we are bound to either just forget or just run out of time. But it's just stepping up and saying, yep, I didn't do that thing and I need to do better and I'm sorry and let's move forward. And how can I help with the mess I already left and clean it up for the future?
Well, and I think that's something that we try to teach our kids too. I mean, all of these we're always trying to teach our kids all of these things that you're talking about. But that one really stood out to me too, along with the inclusiveness.
Yeah, and I think, we know the people that are responsible in our life, and they're the people we gravitate to. They're kind of, our person that we're like, I know they're going to be there, and they're going to do what they said they did. And if they can't, they're going to have a real good reason, and they're going to tell me why, and they're going to own it. And I think that's the biggest part of that is, like, if we do mess up, we just own it, and we say, I'm sorry, we move forward. And I think that is all part of kindness, is being responsible. And then the sixth one and the last one is courage. And this one is unique and a little bit different, but it's being brave when facing new or difficult circumstances. And so when I think about being courageous to be kind, I think standing up when it's hard. Like when you see something that's wrong, you see an injustice, you see something that you step up and you fight for what's right, even when it may not be the popular or the easy thing to do. It can be really difficult. And this too is something I see a lot with my kids, is like, be courageous in standing up for the person who's being wronged. If they can't stand up for themselves, if they don't have their voice yet, being a voice for someone who doesn't have the words yet. And so kindness and courageousness are not something I would have ever really linked together, but wow, if I don't have my voice, if I don't feel like I can stand up for myself, but someone else does, if they have the courage to speak up for me, that is a huge kindness. Yeah. And I think just invaluable. Yeah, like every one of these things are things that I think we want to impart to our children and that we want to do better on. Like, I look at this list and like, I feel like I definitely strive for all of these, but I can definitely work harder in every one of them too. And so these are how I want to be described. If you think about it, like if you think about, you hear people say like, how would you want someone to describe you in your eulogy, or if they're discussing you at your funeral, which is, I know we don't like to think about, but really I think that's what we're striving for. Like, how am I going to be remembered? What's my legacy going to be? I would love for my legacy to be like, she was respectful, caring, inclusive. She lived a life of integrity. She was responsible and she was courageous. What better things could you have someone say about you in your life than those things right there? I don't know that I have anything more than that, like, because everything is wrapped into that. All the things that we want to be. And so being kind is really just being a good person. Just trying your best each and every day to make the world better and less stressful. So I think the best way to cheer up the lonely is to just be kind, to just do your best to be kind and to be all of these things that we discussed. So do you all, I mean, we've kind of discussed some things. Do y'all have any other examples of ways you can show kindness in everyday situations, or anything else to kind of add? We've come up with some pretty good stuff.
Well, one thing and you touched on it very briefly, but when you are kind to people, do not expect anything in return. Do it because you want to do it and not like, look at me type thing. That's when it's going to affect the most, when you're doing it and you don't want people to, or you don't expect anything in return from that person.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just being kind for kindness sake, because it will come back around. Everything comes back around. And man, we get benefit from it if no one even knows we did it, because you know you did it and you can feel good about yourself that you did the right thing. It's kind of like that integrity. I did the right thing. No one knew it, but I know it. And so I don't have to walk around with the guilt of knowing I didn't do the right thing or I wasn't kind.
And I think one thing to do is to send someone a note when you see that they have done something, and just a note of encouragement. And even if it's not a handwritten note, because I know we don't always have time to sit down and write it, but just a quick text, or if you've got time for a phone call, just to let someone know that you appreciate something that they've done. That can really mean a lot to somebody.
Yeah, and I think if it's someone, so random acts of kindness, I think you just have to kind of be more aware. Just be paying attention to the people around you. People that you know and see every day, also pay attention to them. And if you see an area like, oh, I can tell that they're really struggling on that project, or they're really struggling with this, like, I'm going to step in. How can I make this easier for you? How can I help you? And I know, like, as a mom right now with 3 kids who are in all of the things, and I thought summer will be chill. It's not. It's very not chill. So one of the things that I try to do is, if I know someone whose kids are going to be at the same places that my kids are going to be, like, let me grab your child and bring them to you. Let me do this. And then that happens in return. And man, that can be helpful. Like, just help each other out. We see each other, see where you can meet a need. It doesn't do anything different. If that my kid has to go from this place to that place and your kid is too, I'm going anyways. So it doesn't cost me anything, doesn't even cost me time, but it may help out a whole lot. And vice versa, when people offer it for me, man, it really takes some pressure off and opens up some freedom to do some things. So there are just so many ways. And again, I encourage all of our listeners to go to randomactsofkindness.org. They have lots and lots of ideas of ways to show kindness. They have lots of ideas how your kids can learn how to show kindness, and different kindness activities you can do. And they even have, which is really cool, they have calendars for each month, and each day has a thing you can do that's a kindness. And so they're usually really, like, simple things that are easy to do. So if you just are wanting to get in the habit of showing more random acts of kindness, that's a great tool. Print that off, do it as a family, and check off all the ones that you accomplished. You may not do it every day, but just being more aware makes a huge, huge difference. And so I don't know about you ladies, but I'm very inspired to go out and show kindness and to live up to these 6 kindness concepts in the best way that I can. And so I hope that you, our listeners, are encouraged as well. We would love to hear from you and how you are sharing your kindness with others, or if you have any other ideas of things that you'd love for us to talk about, because we definitely want to talk about what y'all are interested in. So we do have an email, and that's lifesimplifiedpodcast@gmail.com. Please reach out to us. We would love to hear from you, even if it's a great job or a, hey, could you hit this topic, or hey, here's an idea. We want all the things. So we look forward to hearing from you, and we hope that you will listen in next week. This is Life Simplified.
Thanks for listening to Life Simplified. We are family and consumer sciences agents with the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. Contact us at lifesimplifiedpodcast@gmail.com.